I updated the sewer line under the kitchen floor in this old cinder block house. Previously, I put a new wastewater line under the bathroom. It went under the shower here on the right, under the cabinets, under the cement wall. This is all under the floor, about 40 inches, and it went right out to the alley behind the house to the public sewer line. I terminated the upstream end of the 4-inch ABS pipe with a rubber cap with a stainless steel ring, one of these guys. That cap, my tunneling target, is right under this cabinet door. You can see the little rubber boot and the stainless steel clamp here. A little closer view. I took the work trench down a little lower than the tunnels because it made them easier to dig, and it made it easier to look into the tunnels without sticking my nose in the dirt. The trench tunnel on the other end went right out under the wall, under these cabinets, out to a sewer clean out. I stemmed it up and put a clean out. And there needed to be a tunnel under the sink cabinet so that I could hook the sink up to it. You can see it here. I made the trench a little bit wider than my shoulders so that I could move around on the bottom of it to do the tunneling and the plumbing. I just used a small hammer drill to perforate the concrete. The drill has settings so that you can just hammer and drill, or just drill. And I used the hammer and drill setting with a 3/4 inch carbide tip bit. I underestimated how much room I'd need for the dirt. It seems like the pile just kept growing and growing. I came up with some good lines for visitors that stopped by, like, I wanted a bomb shelter, or if someone asks about the mother-in-law, just don't say anything. The original 1.5-inch galvanized drain pipe ran back to the left, then elbowed down to discharge into a clay clamshell style tile sewer line running the width of the house under the kitchen and bathroom. The house was constructed during World War II. I picked up a new sink trap and hooked up its upper end to the double sink tailpipe to decide about where I wanted to cut into the base of the cabinet for the new vertical ABS drain pipe. I carefully plunge cut the square hole with a circular saw and saved the cutout piece. I cut the square hole big enough to give myself some room to drill into the concrete below. Notice the 3/4 inch holes for the trench were a couple inches apart. I learned that spacing perforated the slab enough to bust out the trench opening with a sledgehammer. I couldn't swing a sledgehammer under the sink, so I placed the holes right next to each other and managed to bust out the plug using the hammer-only setting on the little hammer drill. When the vertical 2-inch black ABS plastic pipe was standing in place, I measured and drilled a 2.5-inch hole in the square melamine cutout piece. I glued blocks in between the concrete floor and the other underside of the cutout and replaced it. I laid the 4-inch pipe with a slope of about 1/4 inch per foot to make sure that I could keep the dirt out of the joints while I glued them up. I did practice dry runs without glue. I used bricks to keep the pipe on grade and up out of the dirt for the gluing. This picture of the outside clean out standpipe shows a brick in use. The bricks just stayed in place. I started the backfill by pouring sand under the pipe. Note how the trenching accommodated me. This was a step to enable my access. This area was for me to stand or kneel. The extra 3 foot of pipe in this picture under the yardstick was just an extra scrap of pipe that I ran towards my workshop. A toilet in the shop would be nice. For the trench backfill process, imagine a cross section of the trench with the new plumbing. In the trench section, I poured sand along both sides of the new sewer line and packed it with my boots to make sure that the pipe was lying in a firm bed. To build a mound, I added about 5 inches of fill at a time and compacted each layer. I used an old-fashioned compaction tool. Just looks like about a 5x4 post, and you can hear it. It really thumps when it hits the ground. And I just kept doing this and got a good compaction. As the mound grew, notice how both ends of it formed funnels. I poured in a flowable, unshrinkable, low-strength fill, known in its industry as controlled low-strength concrete material. CLSM is a good search term for more information. My secret recipe is 1 shovel scoop of Portland cement, 6 scoops sand, and 2 scoops dirt, and add water until it's soupy enough to pour and flow the length of the tunnel. The right end of the trench, with the tunnel running under the bathroom wall, looked like this after I filled the tunnel with flowable fill and let it dry overnight. This glob at the end of the trench is the flowable fill. I'm standing on the mound that I pounded with the wooden post. I think these splatters are just where I dumped some extra flowable material. I handled the 2 tunnels at the other end of the trench separately. I dammed the side tunnel under the sink with a piece of scrap plywood and used a water pitcher to fill both the tunnel and the vertical hole with the new drain pipe. After the CLSM had time to harden, I extended the mound to form a funnel at the mouth of the tunnel that ran outside to the clean-out standpipe, then filled that tunnel with CLSM. After pounding fill dirt up to the concrete, I topped it off with regular cement and screeded it off. And I just used a straight board, this edge of the board straight anyway, to screed off the cement after I topped the holes off with concrete for the finish. Not very high-tech stuff. The clean-out looks like it's always been there, a couple years after backfilling the trench outside. While I was digging around under the sink, I filled the abandoned sewer line with polyurethane foam. I snaked the end of a small vinyl tube the entire length of the old sewer line and attached the proximal end of the tubing to the nozzle of a can of expanding spray foam. I kept the foam flowing through the long tube as I slowly withdrew it from the old sewer. That about does it. I hope you found something worth your time in this video.